What if I told you that the loaf of bread sitting in your kitchen right now might be packed with more sugar than a bowl of cereal? It might have more sodium than a bag of chips, and ingredients you literally can't pronounce. The bread aisle has become a minefield, and most Americans are walking through it blindfolded. Today I'm going to show you the 5 bread brands you should actually be putting in your cart, and 5 you need to leave on the shelf immediately. Stick around, because the brand most people think is healthy is actually one of the worst offenders. The cheapest one on this list might shock you. Let's start with the brands you should avoid, because honestly, this is where the damage is being done. First up, Wonder Bread. I know, it's an American icon, but take a look at the ingredient list. We're talking about high fructose corn syrup, soybean oil, and a list of dough conditioners that reads like a chemistry textbook. Reddit users in subs like our Nutrition have torn this loaf apart for years. One top comment called it cake disguised as bread. A single slice has almost no fiber. The protein content is laughable. The so-called enrichment is just synthetic vitamins added back after the original nutrients were stripped out during processing. If you're feeding this to your kids thinking it's a wholesome staple, you're being sold a story that hasn't been true since the 1950s. Next, Sara Lee Artisano. The name sounds rustic, almost European, like something a baker in a flour-dusted apron pulled out of a stone oven. The reality? It's loaded with added sugar, soybean oil, and preservatives like calcium propionate. Food bloggers and dietitians on X have repeatedly called this one out for marketing itself as artisan when the ingredient panel tells a completely different story. One viral thread broke down how Artisano contains more sugar per slice than several brands of sandwich cookies. Think about that the next time you're making your kid a peanut butter and jelly. Then there's Nature's Own Honey Wheat. This is the brand that fools the most people, and it's exactly the one I warned you about at the start. The packaging is brown, the word honey is right there, wheat is in the name, shoppers grab it thinking they're making a healthy choice. But the first ingredient is enriched bleached flour, not whole wheat. The honey content is minimal, propped up by added sugars. The fiber count per slice is barely better than white bread. A registered dietitian on TikTok went viral last year doing a side-by-side comparison. Nature's Own Honey Wheat had nearly identical macros to Wonder Bread. The marketing is brilliant. The nutrition is mediocre at best. Number 4 on the avoid list, Pepperidge Farm Farmhouse Hearty White. Pepperidge Farm has built a premium reputation, and some of their products are genuinely solid. But this particular line is a sugar bomb. Each slice contains around 3 grams of added sugar. That adds up fast when you're making a sandwich. The texture is soft because of the dough conditioners and emulsifiers, not because of any traditional baking method. Consumers in Facebook groups dedicated to clean eating have flagged this loaf repeatedly. They call it deceptively marketed as a hearty, wholesome option when it's really just slightly fancier white bread. And rounding out the bad list, Arnold Country White. Despite the name suggesting something simple and rustic, this loaf contains a long list of additives, including datem, mono, and diglycerides, and added sugars that push it firmly into ultra-processed territory. The Environmental Working Group has flagged several Arnold products for ingredient concerns. If you're someone who actually reads labels, this one will disappoint you the moment you flip the bag over. Now here's where things get interesting. The good news is there are bread brands out there genuinely worth your money. Some of them are surprisingly affordable. Let's start with Dave's Killer Bread. If you've spent any time in our healthy food or our Eat Cheap and Healthy, you've seen this name come up over and over. Dave's Killer Bread is USDA organic, non-GMO project verified. The Power Seed and 21 whole grains varieties pack 5 grams of protein and 5 grams of fiber per slice. The first ingredient is actually organic whole wheat, not enriched flour. The story behind the brand is also compelling. Founded by Dave Dahl, who turned his life around after years in prison and built one of the fastest growing organic bread companies in America. Customers on Amazon and Walmart consistently rated above 4.6 stars. Dietitians regularly recommend it as a real whole grain option that doesn't taste like cardboard. Second, Ezekiel 4-9 by Food for Life. This is the one nutritionists quietly worship. It's made from sprouted whole grains and legumes. The grains are germinated before being milled. That process increases the bioavailability of nutrients and reduces the anti-nutrients that can interfere with digestion. There's no added sugar, no flour in the traditional sense. It's a complete protein because of the combination of grains and legumes. You'll find it in the freezer section, which throws some shoppers off. That's because there are no preservatives keeping it shelf stable. Reddit users in R, Fitness in R, Lose It, have been recommending Ezekiel for over a decade. It's a little denser, a little chewier, but once you switch, regular bread starts tasting like sweetened air. Third, Silver Hills Sprouted Power. This Canadian brand has quietly become a favorite among the clean eating crowd in the United States. It's vegan, made with sprouted whole grains, and contains no artificial preservatives. The Max Flax variety has won multiple taste awards. It's praised in plant-based forums for actually having flavor and texture, two things sprouted breads sometimes lack. It's slightly more expensive, but the nutrition density makes every slice count. Fourth, and this is the affordable one I promised, Aldi's Simply Nature Organic Whole Wheat Bread. Aldi has built a cult following on Reddit and TikTok for offering organic products at prices that undercut major grocery chains. This bread is certified organic, has a clean ingredient list, it costs significantly less than Dave's Killer Bread. Shoppers in our Aldi rave about it as one of the best bang-for-buck bread options in the country. If you're feeding a family on a budget but still want to avoid junk ingredients, this is your answer. And finally, Trader Joe's Sprouted 7 Grain Bread. Trader Joe's customers are notoriously vocal, and the loyalty around this loaf is real. It's made with sprouted grains, has a hearty texture, contains no added sugar in some varieties. Multiple food bloggers and registered dietitians have ranked it among the top supermarket breads in America. It toasts beautifully, holds up to heavy sandwich fillings. The price stays reasonable. So here's the truth. Nobody in the bread industry wants you to internalize. The brands spending the most on marketing are usually the ones with the worst ingredients. They need that marketing to convince you their product is something it isn't. The brands quietly doing the right thing don't need to plaster the word natural across the front. The back of the bag speaks for itself. Next time you're in the bread aisle, flip the bag over before you even look at the front. Check the first ingredient. If it doesn't say whole wheat or sprouted grain, put it back. Check the sugar. If it's more than 2 grams per slice, put it back, check the fiber. If it's less than 3 grams, put it back. Your bread should be fueling you, not slowly working against you. Make the switch this week, even just for one loaf, and pay attention to how you feel. If this breakdown helped you see the bread aisle differently, share it with someone still buying the wrong loaf. The best gift you can give is a little bit of truth on a Tuesday grocery run. And while we're on the subject of truth, let's talk about something that rarely gets discussed openly. The American bread aisle, as we know it today, is largely the product of a 1,961 industry shift. The Trolleywood bread process, developed in England, started influencing American manufacturing. That process allowed bakers to produce bread in under 3.5 hours, using lower protein wheat, more yeast, more water, and a cocktail of chemical improvers. Before that, traditional bread fermentation took anywhere from 8 to 24 hours. That long fermentation actually broke down phytic acid, pre-digested some of the gluten, made the bread genuinely easier on the human stomach. When manufacturers compressed that timeline to chase profit, they didn't just change bread, they changed how millions of bodies respond to it. That's part of the reason so many people in their 40s and 50s suddenly feel bloated, sluggish, or inflamed after eating sandwiches they ate happily as kids. The bread itself is fundamentally different, even if the brand name on the bag hasn't changed since 1955. Consider the case of Wonder Bread, founded in 1,921 inches Indianapolis by the Taggart Baking Company. When Wonder Bread launched sliced bread nationally in 1930, it was genuinely revolutionary. By the 1940s, it was fortified with vitamins as part of a wartime nutrition initiative. That fortification saved lives during a period of widespread vitamin deficiency. But somewhere between 1,940 and 2025, the formula drifted. The wheat got stripped harder, the sugar crept up, the dough conditioners multiplied. What was once a wartime nutrition vehicle became something closer to flavored air with a long shelf life. A 2019 analysis by the Environmental Working Group found that several mainstream sandwich breads contain potassium bromate or azodicarbonamide. Both are banned in the European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, and several other countries. Azodicarbonamide is the same compound used to make yoga mats more pliable. Read that sentence twice. It's in your sandwich. Now, the counter argument from the industry is always the same. They'll tell you the quantities are tiny, the doses are regulated, the science doesn't conclusively prove harm at typical consumption levels. Technically, that's true for any single slice. But Americans eat an average of 53 pounds of bread per person per year. According to USDA tracking data from 2020, multiply tiny exposures by 365 days by a lifetime, and tiny stops being the right word. This is the cumulative load argument that toxicologists have been making for 2 decades. It's why countries with stricter food standards simply remove these compounds rather than waiting for definitive proof. Here's another thing worth knowing. The bread you buy at a small local bakery, the kind made with flour, water, salt, yeast, and thyme, will typically go stale within 2 to 3 days. That's not a flaw, that's a feature. Real bread without preservatives is supposed to have a short life because it's a living food. When a loaf sits on your counter for 14 days and still feels soft, you're not looking at fresher bread, you're looking at better chemistry. Calcium propionate, sorbic acid, and monoglycerides are doing the work that staleness used to do. Signal you to eat the loaf or freeze it. That signal got hijacked, and most shoppers don't even realize it's missing. If you're wondering what to do practically, start with this rule. If you can't pronounce more than 2 ingredients on the label, the loaf isn't food in the traditional sense. It's a formulated product designed to survive a supply chain. The 5 brands worth buying that we covered earlier all share something in common. Their ingredient lists are short, their fermentation times are longer, their owners or founders are typically on record explaining exactly why they make bread the way they do. Dave Dahl of Dave's Killer Bread served 15 years in prison before turning his life around. He launched the brand in 2005 alongside his brother Glenn in Milwaukee, Oregon. That story is documented, public, and the company built its identity on transparency. Peter Reinhardt, the baking instructor and author, has publicly praised Ezekiel 4-9 for honoring the biblical recipe from which it takes its name. A recipe described in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 4, verse 9, combining wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt. These details matter because they tell you the people behind the loaf actually thought about the loaf. Compare that to the conglomerate-owned brands where the recipe was last meaningfully updated in a boardroom in 1987, has only been tweaked since then to extend shelf life or cut costs. Bimbo Bakeries USA is the largest baking company in the country. It owns Sara Lee, Entenmann's, Thomas's, Arnold, Oro Wheat, and dozens of other labels you probably think are independent. That consolidation matters because when one company controls that much shelf space, the incentive isn't quality. The incentive is volume, margin, and uniformity. So when you walk into the store tomorrow morning or this weekend, whenever you next find yourself standing in front of that wall of plastic bags, remember this: you have more power than the marketing makes you feel. Every loaf you skip and every loaf you choose sends a signal up the supply chain. Sales data drives reformulation, and reformulation drives what your kids and grandkids will eat in 2040. The bread aisle changes when shoppers change. It really is that simple, and it really is that important.